How did you get to New York City?
I got to New York City in grad school. I went to NYU. And I'm not sure if I would have gotten here another way because I'm an institution girl. So I don't know. I would have wanted to come, but I don't know how I would have segued. It made a really wonderful segue for me. I went to the grad acting program and I studied with some amazing people. I was here, my second day of school was 9/11.
Oh my God.
So I wanted to go, but actually I couldn't go because there are no planes. There's no way to get out of here.
Yeah.
I think, my second day of school, which was 2 days before my birthday, I'm walking across the bridge to go home, bawling because the cell phone doesn't work and I can't call my mom and I don't know what's going on. It was a very interesting time. But not strangely, I guess that's one of the things that can happen when things look bleak is that you sort of find your resolve.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, the world can do something like this. Do I still want to do this? If the world is going to do this, then yes, this is what I want to do with whatever days I have left.
Yeah.
Period.
You were an actor from the beginning, it sounds like.
Yeah.
What happened? How did that happen?
I was born in Los Angeles. It's like, how do people in DC work for the government? It's
in the air.
It's in the air. I actually did not want to do sports. I think that's how it began as a child. My mom, God bless my mom, she's a little shorty and she admired my physique. And she said, if I had your physique, I would be the most amazing athlete ever. And she thought athleticism would get me a scholarship to college because it was something that we knew early on we weren't going to be able to afford to pay for. And I did all the balls. I tried all the, good God, I tried all the things for my mom. My cousin Renee was also very athletic. So there was also like just looking at her like, you like this? Like you. And I found, I don't remember how, because it's decades ago now, but I found an acting summer program that I wanted to do instead of
the ball sports.
And it was being run by a woman named Danielle Spencer. I always want to give her shout outs because she played the little girl on the show What's Happening. She played Dee. So she was older, but super popular to me. And she had her own summer program for youth in LA at the community college. And they did an urbanized production of Cinderella. And I played Cinderella. And so I was bit by the bug.
Was that clear right away?
Very clear. Immediately. I memorized everyone's lines and I could do the whole show by myself. I had my costume. I had my slippers, the special heels. I got to wear heels. I got to wear makeup. And then people clapped.
What's not to love?
What's not to love about this? This is great. It was the same time frame all summer. I got to be there from 9 to 5 while my mom worked. What's the problem with that?
Did it quickly move from a hobby you were interested in to this may be what I want to do with my life? Or was it clear from the beginning, this is what I am?
No, it wasn't clear from the beginning, like this is what I am. It was very clear that this was my proclivity.
Yeah.
Performance was a thing. Communication was a thing. Live was a thing. What happens when you're a kid actor at like these programs in LA is that there are scouts and there are people looking to cast and because it's the business that's in the city. So when they're looking for kids, they look at the kid programs and they contact the people. And so that's how I got into like auditioning and stuff. It wasn't something that I sought out. It was just the next thing that happens when you're in that environment, I guess. My mom was not a stage mom, God bless her. When I had my little Moesha moment, I was told that I was too tall to get this job, too tall and too pretty to get this job. But before we knew why, I was just bawling. And so my mom walks up to Stan Lathan because she don't know that you can't do that. And she's like, why didn't you give my child the job? Like, she was perfect. All her lines were perfect and everyone laughed. And he said, all her lines were perfect. And we thought she was hysterical. She's just not good for this, but she should keep going. And my mom was like, see, you should keep going. And I was like, this is not helpful. I was totally, there's just so much to process. What does it mean to have a physique that is insufficient for a thing? I remember my second job, actually my first paid job, was to play Addie the American Girl. It's a book series for girls, a pretty popular book series for girls. And I embodied one of the characters. But I got the job. And when I got to the place to perform, I couldn't fit the dress. So like all of these things that are like, you don't fit here quite for what we're looking for. There was a lot of self-esteem things that happened. I'm actually super glad I didn't get that Moesha job because I did come to encounter Countess Vaughn, who got the role that I auditioned for because we were all growing up in LA together.
Yeah.
But to hear what she experienced during those years, I would have been eaten alive. I was so insecure, so naive, so wide open. Like all the things that were going on, oh my Lord, I would have been, I don't know, Todd Bridges or somebody. Like I would have been messed up.
Just so cutthroat?
It's not a place for children.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
It's not a place for children. It's not a nurturing place. It makes you grow up faster in so many ways, and in a hard way because it's often because you were taken advantage of. And it doesn't promote the development of character. There are people who develop character despite that environment.
Yeah.
God bless them. But it doesn't help. It invites you in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Quite often, especially then. I think this was even before, what was the name of the laws that supported children getting their money? Now, when you're a child actor, there's a certain percentage of your earnings that has to be put in a trust because parents flying through your money, like all kinds of crazy things happening back in the day.
Did NYU become a North Star of sorts at some point? Did you want to come to New York post high school?
I did. I went to New York in high school. I thought it was the dirtiest environment I'd ever been in. And this was in the 90s, so maybe it's definitely cleaned up a whole lot. But wow. So I'd come and I didn't like it at all. I'm very much a California girl, but I knew that what I wanted to do was there. You know, so it was, yes, I would say in that sense, it was an aspiration. Once I got here, I actually don't like living. I never lived in Manhattan. I've only lived in Brooklyn. Yeah. But I don't need to live in New York. I got married and I moved to New Jersey. And I remember those first days in Jersey being a little punch drunk at the silence. Yeah. Like not realizing how much energy had been swirling and that there was really no place to sort of decompress. Yeah. And though I hate bugs, I think nature is super important. And I wasn't around any nature. So I think the best part of New York are the people. The best part of New York among those people to me are the artists. The best people are the artists. So what I love the most about New York City are the people creating the communities of imagination and art for our nation, for our world. Yeah. For our world here in New York, for sure.
By the time you got to New York, by the time you were applying to NYU, it sounds like you had a sense of what you wanted, what you were aiming for, and it was here. Yeah. What was that?
I thought it was the theater. I really did think it was the theater. And maybe it is the theater, but in like the broadest of senses, not necessarily, on 42nd Street between 7th and 8th. It was the center of storytelling. Like I fell in love. Okay, sure. As a child, I fell in love with being seen and attended to by lots of people. But I think the deeper love is the love of story, and its power. It was only in COVID that I came to have language for that love. And it was because we were deemed non-essential, and therefore any relief that should have been due us from our society during that time was not prioritized because we were non-essential. And I had to mull that over for some time, and I rejected it wholly because there is not a single person who can exist without a story. You'd be a zombie. You'd be brain dead. So story is essential. Communicating that story is the only way we can know ourselves and others, and it's the only way we can be known. It is essential. And having it embodied is the next step of that. It's actually a service on behalf of humanity that we do. It's a service. So that's very different from celebrity culture. Yeah. Celebrities are the embodiment of our actual values. What we value, we prop up, period. So even, people talk about this current administration and our president, or whether you're talking about, I don't know, Kim Kardashian, pick a person. The reason you know their name is because they embody something we actually value. And I think there's a pull because somehow acting has become conflated with celebrity. And they're not the same thing. They could be the same person, i.e., I don't know, Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
That is someone who embodies so many worlds for us. So many worlds for us. And she is popular because she embodies what we like to see in white womanhood.
So you graduate from NYU.
I did.
How did you survive? I don't know how much you remember about those early jobs or opportunities, but that leap from college to the quote unquote real world, I'd love to hear about those early years, what you did, how you stayed, how you survived.
So I don't want to say, man, like it was so hard. I actually think I was quite blessed. But there were some interesting times. I'll tell you how I felt. I felt like I was standing on the edge of like a shoreline on a beach, and the water was receding such that I understood that there was a tidal wave coming. And I look to my right and to my left, and I see my peers, and some of them like have boats and like things prepared for this wave. And I have like a boogie board, and here it comes. And then it just crashes in on you. Like that's how I felt, because really I was a school girly. I went to high school, I went to college, then I went to grad school, which brought me here. So I had never done my own thing, been on my own. I'd always worked. I worked since high school, but I never had to take care of myself. So I had all kinds of plans, and you hustle. That's what you do. You hustle all of the skills that you have and all of the relationships that you have. I worked at New York Sports Club. At first as a personal trainer, and I was pretty darn good. And then I realized that I was a personal trainer and not an actor.
Really?
Well, because when you're a personal trainer, especially at New York Sports Club, any and all money that you make is because you hustle it up.
Yeah.
You have to get those clients and then you have to maintain them. So I'm running a business as a personal trainer. When am I auditioning? When am I doing anything? Nothing. And so I realized that it was taking me off my path. My need for security was taking me off my path. Now, I also was blessed because when I graduated from NYU at the time, and I think they still do, they have this period called free play where they support the grad school artists in the grad acting program in creating their own work. I had co-written a play with a friend of mine at the time. Her name was Danai Gurira. And we wrote a piece about HIV and AIDS that toured the world for 4 years.
Wow.
After graduation. So I only really struggled in the time when we were doing the show here off Broadway. People are like, oh my God, your show's off Broadway. Apparent success. You're not making that much money. So I was also still working. And what I was able to do is stop being a personal trainer and start being an aerobics instructor because there was a system that New York sports clubs had, I don't know if they still do, where I could only substitute teach aerobics, which means that I didn't have to let anybody down. I burned a few bridges trying to get work and then having that work interrupted by a gig that I'd booked and having to sort of choose. But once you choose the acting work, you can no longer go back to that place, which gave you the other work that they gave you. I believe it was teaching artist work with a wonderful woman named Gwen. She was super mad at me because her work was also sacred, but I didn't come here to do teaching artist work. I came here to do this work, and this work was calling for me. So I had to make a choice. But once I found that aerobics job, I could every day look online. That was all new. I think it was like, I forget the listserv that it was on, but it was like, it was not as jazzy as things are now, to see who was asking for coverage because they had booked a gig. All of those people were in the business too. Yeah. And I would just cover for them. And then on the days where I was okay, I wouldn't do it. But if I really needed to work, I could teach as many as like 5 to 8 classes a day. I was super in shape, but that's how I kept my money coming for a while. And then I had to make a choice because my show started to take off. We got offered a proper regional theater tour of our show, which means I had to let my job go and go on tour. So I did. And that's where it began. And I was fine for some time. It really didn't hit me, this struggle bug that you're referring to, till maybe like 3 or 4 years after, like maybe 2008, where it was the first time I didn't know what was coming next since I had graduated, which is a long stint for people. But, and at that time I wasn't married yet, but I was with someone whom I would marry. And he was very, very, very supportive of my dream. So he's like, look, I can take care of this. You keep going. And it's because of him that I was able to keep running.
And during that time, there's no doubt that the live action theater is the North Star, is what you are.
Anything is a North Star at that point. Like
any kind of work.
Well, it was hard because the woman I wrote the play with actually really took off. She booked a film during our tour that took her off tour. And then shortly thereafter, she booked a zombie show, series regular. And then after that, she was in Black Panther. And then so she just kept skyrocketing. And what was hard for me was just jealousy. Yeah. Because I'm like, people compared us at the time to, what are those white boys? Ben Affleck and Matt Damon of theater, because they had written their way into Good Will Hunting and launched their careers. They're like, look at these girls. They had done the same. And we was like, well, people ain't offering us what they offering. Ben and them. No, they're not. But it was frustrating, but also admirable, because she was so clear about why she was doing what she was doing and who she had to become in order to accomplish her goal. Danai was incredibly religious and spiritual. And I remember in grad school, she had this moment where she felt like acting was frivolous. She had gotten her undergraduate degree in something else. It was like sociology or psychology or one of the ologies, one of the soft sciences.
Yeah.
Because that's what she intended to be. The acting was actually this strange detour that was happening, that she was following the impulse and following the spirit of the Lord within her, but she didn't quite understand it because it seemed frivolous compared to the work that she had planned to do from undergrad. And then I watched her over some time sort of realize the power of story.
Yeah.
The power of story. And what she wanted to do was to humanize African womanhood in the West. But she realized all of the pitfalls in the business and all of the stereotypes associated with that demographic that she would likely incur by virtue of her physical form. She's an incredibly smart, gifted person. And so she was like, I have too many gifts to be subject to these stereotypes. That's ridiculous. But then she found this sweet spot of where the popular zeitgeist met her mission. And it was in that which was the superhero, which is also a trope.
Yeah.
You know, it's not exactly the most three-dimensional thing, but it was the three-dimensional thing that was useful to her meeting this mission. She was like, I do want the world to see African women as superheroes because we are. And I started to see the ways in which the universe began to align around the opportunities she was attracting and the ideas she was nurturing into being. I remember when she got the part for the zombie show. Most people think zombie show, that's dumb. You know, zombies aren't real. But she simultaneously had an idea to write a play about the Civil War in Liberia. These women's experiences in the Civil War launched by Charles Taylor in Liberia. And as she was researching what happened to them, it was very much that Civil War, like that show. It was actually exactly like that show, sans the zombies, but there are zombie figures. There are people who are a shell of themselves because their nation, their community, their homes are being destroyed.
Yeah.
The infrastructure of their lives and of their land are being destroyed, and they are a shell of themselves. She's like, I understand this totally. And that's why she was so damn convincing in her audition, because she wasn't in a zombie show. She was one of those women trying to maintain her humanity in these crazy, crazy circumstances. And I was like, look at what the Lord can do when you were clear. But I wasn't clear. I felt very much like I was on target, but not on bullseye. I was like, this storytelling is right. This embodied acting is right. I know it fits on me, but I haven't found my story or my purpose. And because, and this is going to be controversial, Lord, I'm Black American. I'm an African American woman, and all of its historical implications, some of which have nothing to do with what most people think. My family is actually my maternal family is from Rhode Island, not from the American South.
Yeah.
But large swaths of that story are the historical narrative, the epigenetics of my inheritance, you know? Danai was an American. She was born here, but actually raised in Zimbabwe. She is an African woman, culturally, in her spirit, not politically. She has a passport here. But she, her family coming here, no one is going to come to America who thinks it's going to be worse.
Of course.
But ask anybody with my cultural inheritance, what America is. They won't say it's bad. We still here, but we can tell you some things about how it's not. And so her desire to make African womanhood largely, specifically perhaps Zimbabwean, but largely the continent of Africa, its women visible to the world, the women's stories told was not it's not inside of me.
Yes, yeah.
I appreciate it. I want to see it, but that's not my calling. But I didn't know what my calling was. And I don't think that my calling, quite frankly, is the visibility of Black people, because I've seen Black people use storytelling to try to gain humanity and freedom here. And I've seen what it has done to our culture. And this is a rant. But our culture, our cultural output, our narratives, our songs, our dance, our bodies, our food, our way of worship, our perspective, our worldview, all of those things are not created for commercial consumption. They are created from a spiritual need. That's how they came to be. But because we were blocked out of the economy, it was the only thing we have to sell. We're not the only ones. Talk to people who are Jewish. They have a similar story in that regard. When you start to sell the technology of your cultural healing, you're in trouble. I'm not mad that we did it to survive.
Yeah.
Not only to survive, but to attempt to thrive. When you look at the Harlem Renaissance, all of those people in the literary canon, Countee Cullen, Langston Hughes, these are all people who believed that if they just demonstrated how intelligent they were with their poetry, that people would then see that they were valuable and start to treat them differently. We know now in retrospect that that's not true, but you can't be mad at their valiant effort to take a thing. So because I know those things aren't true, and because my people didn't come here for something to be better, what is my storytelling for? And because I don't know that I necessarily embody the true things that are valued in America, I don't think anyone's going to pay me a lot of money to be me. The way that we do Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
So I think I'm still trying to find my target, but I understand my gifts.
What might that be? The bullseye. I'm sure it sounds like you thought a lot about this.
I think about it all the time.
What are some hints? What have you?
I don't know. I want to know. And I think the more I speak it, the more it's like when you think you want to buy a Jeep or something, you start seeing Jeeps everywhere.
It's true.
Like the more I allow myself to want this, the more I'll be able to see it when it comes. But I do think that it's not a thing that exists. I don't want to, no shade to Tyler Perry, but I don't want to say just. I would certainly be in a film by anyone with a story that I believed in slightly. It doesn't have to be a life-changing story at all. At the same time, there's this thing I call it my Seeley stories. So my theory or my little whim is that the film, The Color Purple, was directed by Steven Spielberg and cast by Steven Spielberg, of course, with the approval of Alice Walker. I can name at least a dozen actors of that time who could have done that work. Well, amazing actors. But those roles were particular to the talents, gifts, and experiences of the people who got them. I can't imagine Seeley as not Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
I know many women who would have done a good job, but man, oh man, that was made for her.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for what I'm made for. There are many things I can do and likely to do well enough to be checked off.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the thing that's mine.
It sounds like story and storytelling.
It's that, but what story? I'm looking for my Lawrence Fishburne moment, my Morpheus moment. Like that film, though they stole that story, just got to say that for the podcast. They completely stole that story from a Black woman. At the same time, while having stolen that story, they've made an amazing film.
Yeah.
They made an amazing film, and the impact of that storytelling, not just the wonderful effects of the bullets and all of that, the impact of that storytelling on our, like, people reference the blue and red pill daily. That's that kind of story I want to be a part of.
What can story do? I mean, we've talked, this word has come up a lot. We talked about this before we started recording about we're storytelling animals. This is how we make sense of our lives, or we try to make sense of our lives. And I think we were talking before.
It's more than how we make sense of it. It's how you literally experience it. It's how you literally experience it, which is why psychologists are paid so much to help you reframe.
Yeah.
To tell a different story about the same facts. There's a fine line in that, because we also have an immense capacity for self-delusion.
Yes.
So
truth needs to be in there.
You can't lie.
Somewhere.
You can't lie about it. But you can absolutely reframe it and change the meaning of it for yourself, and then change, therefore, your experience of it, your literal experience of life. And because the story comes first, if you change your narrative, you will ultimately change your circumstances.
Yeah. So playwrights are, in a way, cultural psychologists.
Playwrights are cultural programmers. They are programming you. That's why our politicians are fighting over narrative. They know what it does.
It's true.
They know what it does.
Well, the algorithms on all the social media platforms.
They know exactly what it does. I don't think that we people, the people of New York, the people of America, the average person who's just trying to live their lives and do right by their family and have some joy, I don't think they think as much about how the narratives that they have adopted and walk around embodying. Because you are the walking embodiment of your personal narrative.
Yeah. The memes, the mimetic aspect of this.
Period. You're not thinking about, you haven't given much critical thought to your own narrative. People are always concerned about other people, the other side of whatever you're on politically or socially or whatever. But have you interrogated your own?
Yeah.
Because you are the walking embodiment of it. How much of it is true and how much of it is not? It's just true to you.
Yeah.
And is that truth in alignment with your values? Is what you are experiencing in alignment with your understanding of what is true? If that is not true, if that is not so, rather, then there is an interruption, a disease. I'll call it a disease in your narrative, because those two things should equal.
When you look around now, and you're welcome to reference prior points in your life too, what stories do you feel like need to be told? Or which stories that you have told are you most proud of because of what it shared, what they shared?
So my body of work as a playwright, I'm proud of it, but I understand that it is squarely rooted in one half of the power of narrative. One half of the power of narrative is about reflection. It helps to bring understanding. The only reason that we watch story is because we want to see how and why the change occurred. Because life doesn't give you that privilege. You just know what changed.
Yeah.
You may muse about how and why, but you don't get to know. I'm struggling with that right now. I have a family member who has passed away, and it bothers the crap out of my storytelling mind that I will not get to know why or how that happened. So that's why we love story, because in stories that don't give us that are either comedies, so we're like, I laughed, or we hate them. What the hell? It's unacceptable to us, because that's what it's for. largely. That's what we've made it for. But there's a other half. There's at least a 50%. I'd even give it 70% more. There's 30% of the power is in reflection, but 70% of the power is in projection. The stories we tell that are the genesis of becoming. Mm-hmm. Those stories. So my body of work as a playwright has tapped into that 30% to try to make sense of the world that I'm in through the lens of my demographic, what it is to be a Black woman. I have stories about the role of education in society. I have stories about sexual tourism and just what it means to be the man. And I mean that broadly, not like literal men, but like we're all being pressed to be the man in some way. It means different things to different sectors of our society, but do we see it in ourselves and what it's making us do or not do in the world? I have historic narratives about recently enslaved people being free, looking for their families. I did some work with a wonderful historian at UPenn in that regard. And then I have In the Continuum, which is a contemporary story about HIV as like a sort of response to the knowledge that Black women are the largest diagnosable demographic of people with that ailment to pandemic proportions, but we're not like talking about it. At least at the time we weren't. And we still kind of aren't because it's still here. There have been lots of advancements though. These are all like, why? Why are things this way?
Yeah.
Why are things this way? I want to write a body of work about what it could be like. I hate to quote a person who's in prison now for his behavior, but you know, if you can see it, then you can be it, then you can do it. We don't invest in our imagination in that way. We just keep wanting the things that have existed just with ourselves on top. Like, I want my turn to be Superman.
Yeah.
Or Superwoman. Or we just want to be super person. I thought that recently. What is I think it's an all Asian cast of a really great movie where the woman is the superhero all at once, or I can't think of the title of the film. All at Once in something. Very popular film. And it was a very good film. But it's also just it's like, okay, now the Asian woman gets to be the center of this same story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point in your career, do you think of yourself more as a cultural programmer, as you put it, or as an actress? Are they equal to you, like a 50-50 split?
Yeah, they are equal to me because I understand the work that I do and the impact that it could have on others, but I also understand the impact that it's having on me.
Yeah.
Acting is a spiritual thing. It does something to you as much to you as it does to others. So I do think about what I'm lending myself to. And if it's going to be a part of that evolution in a small, localized way or in a larger way. Unfortunately for actors, particularly in film and television, you don't really get a chance to know what that is. Yeah. I've been in films and shot scenes and showed up to see the film, and the scene is different. The scene is gone. The scene, you don't get to know what story you're a part of. Yeah. And I actually I do want for the actor to be more empowered or a part of the whole process. We treat our actors like they're puppets instead of like they're a part of the narrative. Musicians don't get treated that way. Yeah. No, I guess they could. They could be like, hey, you play. But if you're the creator of your music, you're respected for that. But people don't think of actors as creators because they're creators in service often of narratives that they don't write. That's not true everywhere. In many places, actors are generative artists. And I would encourage actors to be generative artists so that they can make those kinds of cultural contributions that come from their own impulses. There's absolutely nothing wrong with joining somebody's team. Don't get me wrong. If you see a story that you want to tell, or there's a TV show you want to audition for, you feel strongly about being a part of that, sure. But don't give up your power to to create something as well.
I always like to close with the same question. And you mentioned this word earlier in the conversation, which is success.
Yeah.
What does that word mean to you at this point in your career and your life?
Success means fulfillment. The fulfillment of as much of my potential as possible. The manifestation of as much of my potential as possible for me. And that fulfillment requires health. It requires connection, and it requires creativity.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. This is awesome. This is awesome. Thank you.